Hi, y'all. I'm Dominique Bertolini, and today we're going to be talking about an article that I read by Esther Lanhus titled Why Women May Be More Susceptible to Mood Disorders. This article has a lot to do with brain abnormalities, hormones, and childhood adversity, and how those affect postpartum depression in women after pregnancy. It has a lot to do with psychology, and I am a psychology minor, so I have a lot of background information to give to this presentation, and I'm excited to share my presentation with you all today. So let's jump right into it. Our first subject today is going to be the two-hit phenomenon. The first hit of this two-hit phenomenon comes from the childhood abuse or parental stress that is dealt with all the way from puberty back to the beginning of life. So all of this stress may leave a biological imprint on children that may lay dormant until the second hit. This second hit comes in women after pregnancy or during pregnancy and is often titled postpartum depression. So, to figure out why this postpartum depression was happening, Kathleen Morrison and Tracy Bale did an experiment on mice. They tested the mice equivalent of cortisol that we have in humans. So what they did was they subjected some female mice to childhood adversity and puberty, and then tested their cortisol levels after pregnancy. What they found was those female mice who had experienced childhood adversity showed little reaction to separation from their pups after pregnancy. What's interesting when we get to the molecular triggers of that is that they found very similar results in human women. That human women were less likely to care that their child was in another room crying, or less likely to show symptoms that other women who had not dealt with childhood adversity were showing. So they went back into the mice to look at the brain structure abnormalities. And what these researchers found was that certain genes were being activated in the brain. However, they were very unclear which ones were being activated. The good news, however, is that they were able to find a molecular trigger, and that was the hormone allopregnanolone. I'm going to repeat that because it's a little bit complicated when you first hear it. It's allopregnanolone. And what that does is it reprograms the brain much like the brain is reprogrammed after the first hit and the first hit phenomenon that we just talked about. However, the interesting thing is that this is not seen in male mice. The reasoning for this is because male mice never have to go through the pregnancy cycle like women do. So they never receive the surge in the allopregnanolone and the major drop or decrease that happens right after giving birth. So when male mice were given the allopregnanolone hormone, they also received that second hit, which is a reasoning why women get postpartum depression and not men, because there's such a surge in hormones like allopregnanolone and then such a drastic decrease. Now, to stop this drastic decrease, there was a drug made. However, there is a note of caution that comes with allopregnanolone, and that it has paradoxical properties. And what that means is there's a synthetic version of the drugs, Zolrezo. Sorry, let me repeat that again. Zolrezo. It's a little bit complicated, but it was created in March of 2019 to help with the major decrease in hormones that we see after pregnancy, especially in allopregnanolone. And they're hoping that curbing the drop will help cure the postpartum depression that women are feeling. There has been some successful clinical trials, but the warning is that this drug is still very new. March of 2019 is not a very long time ago in the grand scheme of things, and that means we don't know who should use the drug, why they are going to use it, if it has any side effects for people who have experienced those childhood adversities or anything like that. However, that doesn't mean that we can't find this research. It's just not the end-all be-all is that Zolrezo helps cure postpartum depression. So moving on from there, however, there is a sign of hope. And that sign of hope, although there is still a lot of unknowns, like we don't know the genes, there are two new things that we discovered. That there are genes triggered. What those are, we're not exactly sure right now, but it doesn't mean that we can't find it out soon. We also know that the hormone allopregnanolone is a major cause or molecular trigger for postpartum depression. And we are getting some new drugs that may be able to help curb the postpartum depression. We're just not exactly sure to the extent yet. which is why there are still many new warnings with this drug, Zulresso. So, but what the major thing and the major sign of hope that we have today is that there's more attention to women's health, mental health, physical health, and finding signs like these and realizing that they are a major cause in why women have postpartum depression, to 1 in 9 women having it, means that there's more hope. The more we look into women's health, the more that we acknowledge that it needs to be taken care of, the more research that we can find, which is the reason I'm presenting this article to you today. I hope that you understand that women's health is one of the big things that we need to understand, and that this article shows a lot of signs of hope that we have for the future, but this is not the end-all be-all. I will show you my source page where I found, if you would like to read the article yourself, I found it very interesting. And then if you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments below, and have a great day. All right. Bye, everyone.